Welcome to the Todd and Taylor Show. I'm Taylor Trask,
And I'm Todd A.
and we are back once again, and we're still really close to Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con to be specific, and we have another special guest who was there at Comic-Con. Todd, can give us the intro.
Sure. We have joining us today my friend Eric Koda, who is an artist who is in Artist's Alley for the first time this year. And we're just going to get the whole insiders, on-the-ground perspective from Eric. Hello, Eric.
Hello. Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
All right. I'm great. Yeah. I'm great. Yeah.
Now this was was Todd correct? This was your first time in Artist Alley at SDCC?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Now, before we get to that, I guess give our folks some background. How long have you been an artist? How long have you been drawing? What got you into all this in the first place?
Well, I've been an artist pretty much since I was, I don't know, like professionally or just.
Yeah, how long have you been drawing? I mean, when did you start drawing, like for fun, and when did you realize it was something you could make money at?
Well, I started drawing, I think, when all kids did, and just basically like whenever everybody else did, around 4 or 5 or whatever, and just kept doing it, and everyone else kind of grew out of it, or whatever, and I just kept going at it, and I never stopped. Well, I did actually stop. There was a period of time where I did stop, but that's another story.
Sure.
But at that point, I had already kind of like honed it to a certain level where I felt confident at. But well, as far as professionally, it's been about 5 or 6 years. I'd say about
Nice.
6 years.
Were you originally like inspired to draw by comics? Was it something else entirely? Like how did you sort of get into comics or graphic novels as an art form?
I didn't actually get into comics until like junior high.
Sure.
And yeah, I mean, I would like read Spider-Man and G.I. Joe here and there in elementary school, but mainly,
yes.
Yeah, the old Gene Ha, I think, right? Gene Ha.
I love that because I, as we've talked about in previous podcasts, got into comics way back in the day via the He-Man comics that accompanied the toys and other stuff too. So I was always aware of the G.I. Joe comics, but like you always had to pick one or you're either a He-Man kid or a G.I. Joe kid. Like, very rarely did you ever find like somebody who's both, unless their parents are just really rich or something.
Yeah, and I was into G.I. Joe. That was definitely the way I got into comic books was through the G.I. Joe comic books.
Yeah, because you got to learn about, Cobra Commander, like maybe we'll see what's under that hood, whatever. And the art was pretty cool, and it was, I don't know what was it about it. They had ninjas in it. And
yeah, I mean, what was not to like?
Right, yeah, I mean, how could you beat that? But no, I as far as like graphic art type of stuff, like I got into I was like really into like like all kids, like I was into comic strips like Garfield and all that. And
Far Side?
Far Side, yeah, not so much, but my favorite was Bloom County.
Ooh.
And,
yeah, we should just divert right there because like maybe 3 years ago, you and I waited for an hour or more in a line to see Berkeley Breathhead at San Diego Comic-Con, and did not get into the panel. It was like his reappearance on the scene.
Right.
So what happened this year, Eric?
Well, I got to meet him. I really,
nice.
yeah, I just got to shake his hand and talk to him and get his autograph and all that fanboy stuff. And he's one of like the 2 or 3 people that I've wanted to meet, within my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And And I did, and I never thought it would happen. Like, first of all, I never would have thought of him like coming to San Diego Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually, I never would have even imagined that Boone County would come back, because it's been like 25 years or so since he put that down. And yeah, but when he was there, I didn't find out like that he was there when we tried to go see him until the day before or something like that, or
Probably.
yeah, because we're all so busy. And I was also bad. I also badly prepare for cons because I never look at the schedule until the night before, either the night before or the day of or something. But so yeah, that was a big bummer. And plus, like, I mean, like, it was just at that con when me and Todd tried to go see him, it was just all kind of coming to a head just because of all the, we were trying to get into all sorts of different stuff and just getting denied just because everything had a line and you had to wait for anything that had any kind of name recognition. You had to be there at least like 2 hours ahead of time. And it's like, and I was used to going to Comic-Con and like being able to go to some, like some kind of like niche thing that I was into and just walk in and, hey, sit down and, even late, go in late or whatever. You could still do that here and there.
We definitely didn't anticipate any kind of line to see Berkeley Breathed in whatever it was, 2013 or 2014 or whatever, but that was crazy.
2014, I think, yeah.
Well, what was it like this year? Because this year, I guess he did a panel, but you met him at a booth doing a signing.
Right.
Was there a large line for that?
There was. I don't know how far back it went, just because I was lucky enough to have a friend, our friend Chris Martin, and he was
Chris
he got
Martin?
in line.
No.
Yeah, Chris Martin. not of Coldplay, but yeah, he got in line early and saved a spot for me. So because I was, in Artist Alley, doing my thing, and so he just, luckily he was there, and it was so cool. Like, it was at the IDW booth, because that's where he's publishing his collected stuff out of now.
Nice.
And yeah, he's been releasing a lot of archived editions of all of the, like, every single strip of Boone County through them, and there's a lot of them. And
they had a huge, like, just dedicated wall to him in that booth.
Yeah, they have like these really nice looking hardback editions, and then he also had this one that he was debuting there at the con, a new collected edition from all of his newest stuff from the past couple of years, and so those were already like pre-signed. He already signed every one of those.
Oh.
Yeah, so on that page he just did a little for whoever, and then it's got his signature, his autograph. And then for mine, he misspelled my name, and I didn't even realize it. And he had his I guess he was probably like 14 or 15-year-old son sitting next to him, like hanging out. And he noticed, because he saw my badge, that he had signed it. He had spelled my name wrong. He had spelled it with Eric with a K, and so he was like, oh, and then he changed it to C, and then he, and in compensation, he did a little doodle of Opus for me. So that was great.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Who are the other, when you said there's like 2 or 3 kind of living guys that you would like to meet, who are the other 2 or 3?
Well, I already met Mike Patton.
Not a comic book artist.
No. Yeah, these are just, people in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mike Patton, I met him like a really long time ago, like 97 or something. And who else? Probably Barack Obama. No offense to any like political. I know that might cause a stir with whoever, but whatever.
What are there artists on that list? I mean, comic book artists.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I met Jim. Like, when I was like in high school, I met Jim Lee, and that was really great. Yeah, but that was like before he was really big.
Was that pre-image or post-image?
That was pre-image. That he had just done Punisher War Journal, and I think he might have just started on Uncanny X-Men, but so he was pretty much unknown, and I think I was in junior high at that point. So he was my hero at the time. It would be really awesome to meet Katsuhiro Otomo, the creator and artist of Akira.
Oh yeah.
That would be just insane.
Who are the artists that kind of guide you in what you're doing? I mean, when you're drawing like a page of panels, who inspires you in that?
Well, let's see. Yeah, I mean, my inspirations are Frank Quitely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's another. I just thought of when you're asking like who I'd like to meet. He's definitely one of the people I would love to meet. But he doesn't really make that many appearances out in the States, I don't think.
I've recently become really sort of more familiar with him thanks to Grant Morrison, working with him in Multiversity, which I really liked, and then I also took on Jupiter's Legacy recently too, and just realizing his style is so distinct, but you kind of just fall into it and get sucked into it, and then you're just like, I want everything like this. Like it's just he's got that really interesting, very you can't. I don't know if you can really mimic that style. It's so specific and so very much him.
And Taylor, you're such a fan of, you kind of came into American Alien as a Superman story, and Eric has pitched to everyone I know, anyone that Eric and I mutually know, he has pitched them All-Star Superman, which is Quitely as well. So you might really enjoy that.
That's
Taylor.
That one. I've seen that. I've seen the art for that here and there, and having just gotten acquainted with Superman in a way that means something to me, I'm interested now in actually kind of going back and finding all these other stories that I could add into that sort of that lexicon that American Alien sort of set up in my mind. So
Sorry, Eric. This picks up on a longer conversation Taylor and I have had about how our comic book reading has sort of reversed lately, where I'm not reading any superhero books and Taylor's reading nothing but superhero books. So getting recommendations from anyone is always good. But anyway, back to you and Quitely and who you look to for inspiration. I mean, how do you set up a comic book page? Who are you thinking of? Or
always I sometimes forget this, and I have to, I do. Oh gosh, I really get a little ADD with my influences and my style, and that's one of my things I need to improve on is just consistency, and I've been told that here and there. So I tried to channel Jason Pearson, Frank Quitely. These are all styles that should not mix, but because Frank Quitely is so just it's so very thoughtful, thought out, and you could tell he's taking his time on it, and it's just so deep, it has so much depth to it. And then there's Jason Pearson, who's just so in your face, and it's got this just so much energy to it, and exaggerations of anatomy and facial expressions, almost cartoonish, and yet it's very detailed. And who else? Well, any comic artist you probably ask nowadays would say one of the best artists out there is Stuart Immonen. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but Immonen, who did the all new X-Men, and you guys know him?
I don't.
I don't know, but on that all new X-Men run, which one are you referring to?
the number one, well, the beginning of it, I think with Bendis, maybe.
Okay.
Beginning of the last. I honestly can't tell you like what the continuity is, or what's going on with them, but it was probably like.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. I just
years
Googled this
ago.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stuart Immonen, his wife's also in comics. I think her name's Catherine Immonen, and I believe she's the writer. Yeah. And so anyway, he did all new X-Men, and he's done a whole bunch of other stuff. But like, you talk to any comic artist, and they'll know. They're like, oh yeah, that guy's like the best right now. Like, because you look at his stuff, and there are no flaws. Like, he's got so many. He's got such like a dynamic style and good, just amazing like lighting, and just it's almost flawless. And anyways, there's that, and I try to, because I started out like just a big like Jim Lee clone, like a lot of people do. I've tried to like grow out of that. I mean, I did grow out of that a long time ago, and I've tried to like not do that again with anybody, because I can get caught up in that, and then I have then I'm not offering anything new. So I think even Frank Whiteley was quoted as saying, like, when someone asked him what his style was, and he's like, I think his answer was, I'm still trying to find my own. I'm still trying to find it. I'm still trying to find my style. So
interesting.
I kind of feel like
that's interesting for somebody. So it's interesting. That I always hear that, like, you're always, with any creative endeavor, whether it be writing, drawing, filmmaking, it's like you're always trying to get better. That sort of permeates everybody who's really into these creative fields. So to have somebody as experienced as that, or as prolific as that, still be like, I'm still trying to find it. Like, I don't know what it's still a kind of a search or a quest. There's something really cool about that. And I think that's what attracts a lot of people, both as a consumer of that content, but also creators of that content. Just kind of follow that artist on that journey. I really dig that.
We should probably follow that up too by asking you, Eric, what have you worked on lately that someone might be able to track down and check out your work?
Mm-hmm.
I did work on The Agency, which is like this independent comic. It's out on Comixology, and it's through Think Alike. It's TAP Productions, Think Alike Productions. So I did that for the last couple of years, and I think definitely with that I was still trying to find out, like. And I was consciously experimenting, much to their chagrin, I'm sure. Like, I kind of viewed it as like, and I view a lot of things as just like as an experiment, like just to see, like, just an experiment, really, just to see what comes out of it and how I can do this, because it would just be so boring if I were to know how to do it and like just be grinding it out like it was just an exercise,
When you do that, so like, real quick, can you walk me through how you work with writers? Because a lot of people, I don't think, people listening to this podcast probably do, but even then, some people don't realize there's a lot of times the writer and the artist are never in the same room. They're different parts, different countries, different parts of the country. Sometimes they work together on previous stuff. Sometimes it's kind of a one-off marriage for that project, and then they're gone. How do you like working with writers? What do you kind of expect in that relationship?
I don't really. Well, I expect them to know what they want. I mean, but the thing is, like with writers, it's always different, because some writers will be like, well, first of all, like everybody will get a script almost without exception, and in the script, that'll usually most likely give you a panel layout and tell you what they want within those panels. But, it really just just depend on the writer, and then like maybe if that writer and the artist have a past, and they don't, maybe the writer resort more to explaining the scene in more generalized terms instead of like some writers will say like, it's almost like it reads very similarly to a screenplay, like a television or movie screenplay, and it'll explain everything in detail. Like, I want it this angle, and I want a close-up shot of this, and then a wide shot of this or that. But so I expect a little, just, I don't know. It really helps when they know what they want. Like, as I have worked with somebody where they've only written up to like 4 pages or something, and they've written the whole comic, and they're like still making it up, and I'm like, let's go back and change this or that, Like,
yeah. Now, on the flip side, though, have you had an experience with a writer where they were too specific on what they wanted visually, and they almost kind of sort of handcuffed you in terms of what you were able to do?
No, I mean, in my limited amount of experience, because I haven't really worked with that many, so yeah, from what I've gathered, they're often pretty generous and pretty like loose on that kind of thing. They're usually like, I trust you to be able to imagine this or that, and and usually, and it's good to have a good communication line, open communication line going on about, like, if I have any questions about certain things, and because I often will, like, but usually it was like, I think, and I think like the first Marvel thing I had, I wasn't even working with the writer at all. Like, it was just through the editor. And,
oh, interesting.
Yeah, so.
Was that more of like a hired gun kind of situation where it just, it was what it was? And...
Right. Yeah, it was, I mean, basically it was a tryout, because it was like an 8-page story in a anthology kind of situation. So, and like at one point I even tried to say, like, make a suggestion, like, oh, maybe we should put Storm in this outfit, and they're like, just stick to the script. Get a little big for my britches. I was only like, 4 pages in. I'm like, I got this, and I'm like, already start, weighing in on, what she should be wearing or whatever. So, yeah, that's how green I was back then.
Well, I think we should jump into the whole Comic-Con experience.
Yes.
If there are plugs you want to make along the way for your work or what's coming up, definitely do, and we'll do a plug round at the end to let everyone know where they can find you on social media and stuff like that. But taking it way back, what was the first year you ever attended Comic-Con?
I think it was either 88 or 89. And
wow.
Yeah, that's when
that's OG. That's back when it was like in a hotel conference room or something.
I remember you telling me you just drove down and parked at the convention center, and I was like, what the hell?
Stan Lee was handing out books in person. Hello, Spider Friend, as you came in. It's like
he was at the booth.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It was actually at the old San Diego Convention Center, which is downtown, and like it's this old crusty, and it was just comic books, and it had an artist alley, and I'm pretty sure they had signings and that kind of thing, but me and my friends that I went with, we were there just to get good deals on comics and just to
nice.
See cool stuff that because there was no internet back then, and so they would have like cool toys and models or whatever, and stuff we wouldn't be able to see in our local comic shop, and just to take in the odor of the unwashed, 40-something.
Are you saying nerds smell, Eric? I resent that accusation.
You know what? I don't know what's happened over the years, but they've gotten better. I'll tell you that.
At least since I have been attending Comic-Con, you have also been going to Comic-Con as an attendee. Although usually you've had a professional badge, which always makes me jealous. But so this is the first year you get into what's called Artist Alley, and I guess because I did receive a little feedback on last week's podcast about what is Hall H. We kind of jumped into Hall H without explaining it. Let's definitely explain Artist Alley. Whereas, and either of you jump in at any point and correct me, but at most sort of bigger comic conventions, there is a place that is reserved for artists to peddle their wares and create art for you, and it's offered either it's sort of a discount, cost of so these artists aren't buying, having to pay for a big retail booth, or in the case of San Diego Comic-Con, I believe it's a free spot. They just have a very limited number of spots to give out, and it's definitely something everyone who goes to a Comic-Con should go check that place out, because you can buy posters from Marvel online at any time. But you can get these great one-of-a-kind prints from artists in Artist Alley.
Or sketches.
Yeah, or sketches. So you were in Artist Alley this year. How did you even get in?
I just applied online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they ask for work in that application? Do they want to see that you're a reputable artist that can draw a picture?
There's a section that asks for published work, I think, and and then there might be a place to put your website, I think.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you get, calling it I guess I just referred to it as a booth, but it's more like part of a table. So you were in an aisle, literally at the ass end of the hall. Your table touched the Hall H wall, which sounded like kaiju were coming through the wall at any moment when they were playing previews in Hall H at top volume. There were 3 people in your aisle. You were lucky enough to be on the end, so you got a lot of walk-by traffic. I'm describing too much, but let's back up to, so Wednesday night is preview night for everyone who has a badge or a 4-day pass, gets a preview night. That's when you went to set up. What did you see there?
In the Artist Alley, or just
in the whole con? What's the vibe like?
Well, at preview night, it used to be just barren because not that many people had the passes for preview night, and it's only a few hours. It's from 6 to 9, I think. And at this time, there was a fair amount of people. I wasn't able to take it all in as I usually do, just because first of all, I was lugging everything on in a giant suitcase, and then a few different of those free bags that they give you, those giant bags that they give you when you check in to Comic-Con, full of stuff that I needed to set up with.
Oh,
yeah. Well, I had filled those. I had kept those over the years, and I just filled those with everything I needed to set up with. And and I had walked all the way from Horton Plaza, because I parked in Horton Plaza, which is this very was a famous mall in downtown San Diego, designed by Ray Bradbury, I believe.
What?
And, yeah, for reals.
We got to do a Horton Plaza episode of the podcast.
Yeah, and so anyways, it's kind of far. That was a dumb move on my part, but I walked all the way there. So I was beelining it for the Artist Alley, and in Artist Alley, surprisingly enough, there were people already set up, and because I thought there wasn't going to be anybody there. But there were people like full on set up. They had everything going.
Are they already selling with that preview crowd?
Yeah. I don't know how well they were selling, but yeah, they were doing what they did every day.
Oh, so they're just sitting at the tables and like just running it like it's a normal day in the con.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any special perks or anything for the people who go that first night, that preview night? Like, do they do some kind of special, like, one-off thing, or do they know, like, do any of the like big booths, like the Image booth or DC booth, open up to let you guys like get first crack at it because they know you're going to be busy the rest of the week?
Yeah, right. No.
That should be the case.
No, but I mean, funny you should say that. Like, one of the days that I got there kind of early, and I was able to get in early before all the crowds because I have the exhibitor badge, which I discovered is magic because, like, you can pretty much get in anywhere. It seemed like.
They're like, right this way, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
To the front of the hot dog line.
Yeah, no, I was getting that kind of treatment. It seemed like, in comparison to just having the lowly professional badge or whatever. I mean, professional badge doesn't mean jack. I mean, other than get in for free. Sorry. So yeah, but one of those mornings, I was in there before the crowds and walked through the DC booth, and like one of the guys was like, "Hey, did you get your free shirt?" I'm like, "What? Free shirt?" I have not gotten a free shirt from Comic-Con in like over 6 years because they pretty much nobody does that anymore because they don't have to. So it was a really cool shirt and had DC logo on it, and I was very happy. That was like one of the highlights.
Nice. You got there like 30 minutes before the crowd.
Yeah, and I'm sure like they got rid of those real quick. So I don't know if that was just for like. I'm pretty sure that was for people who were there first.
Right. So So you get there. So then, like Thursday is the kickoff to the con, and you get there early-ish to get to your booth. What did you have to set up to sell? Like, what were you selling at your booth?
I was selling prints, and that's pretty much it. I had prints, and then had a little sign kind of that wasn't very visible that said sketches, because honestly, I was not anticipating doing any sketches.
Oh.
Now, let me ask you about that. How many people in Artist Alley, is there an expectation that everybody should do commission sketches or is that just on a case-by-case basis?
It's on a case-by-case basis, and probably a lot of it has to do with, like, how popular you are. I have a feeling. I mean, it's just a feeling. I don't know for sure. Like, this was all new to me. So, I mean, like, if you are an established guy and you don't want to, I mean, you're, I don't know why you're there, but you're there for whatever reason, and you don't really need to make little petty cash or whatever. You're probably not going to do that many, if any, sketches at all. And also, I think some artists like have run into problems where their stuff gets flipped immediately on eBay.
Oh, right. Yeah, like they're getting a sketch from a famous artist and then just going home and auctioning it off that night.
Yeah, because I know Adam Hughes did that. Like his
right.
Getting flipped right away, and he was like, "I'm not doing any more sketches at con." So.
That's
well, it's such a cool personal way to interact with an artist, and I've been kicking myself for a week for not having thought of this. But you had at least one or two people who asked you for a sketch in a sketchbook that they had,
right.
And one guy specifically just got different artists. He commissioned different artists to do sketches of Nightcrawler, which was so cool.
Oh,
so
that is cool.
He ended up with this book of like all these different versions of Nightcrawler. Am I right? It was Nightcrawler, right?
Nightcrawler.
Yeah. Was that
That's
something
awesome.
that you'd seen before? Like, had you? I I just
Well,
felt like a dummy for not realizing that's what people were doing with sketchbooks.
I've never done sketches at con, so I don't know, but I think it seemed like a thing. I mean,
Yeah,
I felt like it feels like I heard that somewhere before.
right. It's sort of like an autograph book or something.
Yeah.
But it
Well,
was,
yeah,
yeah. I think this is like like pro tip for every person going to Comic Cons from now on. Just bring a sketchbook and commission artists to sketch in that book, and you'll have this amazing coffee table artifact in a few
Yeah.
years.
That's awesome. Yeah, and don't sell it on eBay. Keep it. Treasure it.
Yeah,
Don't make it, because that sounds so, like, now my mind is spinning on all the things I want to like I want to totally do that next time I go to
Taylor,
con.
have you gotten sketches from artists at cons or?
I haven't. No.
the only ones I've gotten are like along with autographs or something like that. You know, I've never commissioned an artist like that.
Yeah, it's funny how many people want them. I mean, like I don't think they even saw the sign that I had, like with the prices or whatever. They were like, hey, do you? They just asked me if I did sketches, and I'm like, yeah. So there's a lot of those guys out there just trying to get sketches, and it's yeah, but I think my prices were pretty cheap compared to like some of them, because like if you have any kind of name recognition, they were pretty a lot more than mine. They were.
Well, it kept you pretty busy, right? I mean, you were doing sketches all day, every day, pretty much.
Yeah, and also, I mean, that plus it was just really fun. I didn't realize how fun it would be. How it was, yeah, to do that, and like you're making someone happy is like instant gratification. Because I've done commissions for people, but it's been through like email and online stuff, and I'm either like shipping it out to them or I'm like emailing it to them, and I'm always just communicating through email or whatever, and it's very impersonal. So when you're doing it for somebody, like when you're getting that instant feedback right away, and you're seeing like things in their face, like that guy that I did the Nightcrawler for, I even like was impressed with the Nightcrawlers that I did. I wasn't, that was one of the better ones that I had done, and so I was like, here you go, and he's like, whoa, and I'm like, yeah. So,
when you're doing a sketch like that of a character that maybe you haven't drawn a million times, are you looking on your phone for like reference works or something like that? How'd you do that?
Yeah. Well, Nightcrawler, I remember I had drawn him like when I was a wee lad, a long time ago, and enough to remember certain things, but like I didn't remember how far that weird like thriller costume that he was wearing, Michael Jackson's outfit that he had on, if that went all the way down to his crotch or whatever that, because it seemed kind of weird. But yeah, like I definitely, that's where like these smartphones are so amazing. Because some one guy wanted me to draw Zero Suit Samus or Samus. Samus? Is it Samus? I think it's Samus. From Metroid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's the
Oh, weird. Okay.
It is like Metroid is a blonde girl. The person in the suit is a blonde girl. You discover, spoiler alert, at the end of the first Metroid game. And but I guess there's a new version of the game where she's just out of the suit and she's like in this blue suit and she's looks like a normal person.
Gotcha.
But I had seen her before, but I had no idea what he was referring to, so I had to Google that and all right. But luckily, she wasn't like very complicated. She's just this blonde.
What was the weirdest thing? The weirdest thing that like you're just like, really? Like where someone came up to you and like, hey, would you draw this? You're like, okay, I guess.
There was a guy that wanted. He had the concept. He just had this very vague concept of rock paper scissors.
What?
Rock paper scissors. I'm like, yeah, and he's like, oh, good, because some people don't know what that is.
Oh my god.
I know what this is. I just don't know how you want me to put that into your sketchbook. And he was just like, well, just do whatever you want with that. Like all right. And luckily, it was a sketchbook of a sketchbook, and he had other artists' interpretations of it. And some people had some really cool versions of what they thought, how they wanted to express it. And so so I did that. What did I do? I did like a pair of scissors, like running away from a rolling boulder, and like a hat, an Indiana Jones hat was falling off his head, the scissors head, and there was a piece of paper wrapped around the boulder. And
nice. Oh,
Dang.
cool.
You went all out.
Well done, sir.
So, prints versus sketches, was one more financially successful for you?
I wish I could tell you, just because because I think you, as I iterated to you throughout, like you have some sort of bookkeeping going on. But
Yeah, and when you left that table, I was just giving away prints.
I pretty much was doing the same. No, I was just like, I was trying to keep a record of like how many prints I was selling and how many sketches and that. But it just got so chaotic that like I would sell some prints, and then like I would pick up a commission or a sketch, and then I would be like, okay, now I'm sketching. And then like someone come up, hey, can I buy this? I'm like, okay, great. Okay, I'm gonna mark that out. Okay, now someone comes up with a new commission. Okay, and it just kept on piling on, and I was like, at a certain point, I just lost track, and so I'm pretty sure the print sold more, but because I can only do so many sketches per day,
and let's just for the people at home who are completely unaware of what we're talking about. It's prints with a T, not prints. Like you're not drawing Purple Rain for people. This is an actual the actual printed
Right.
thing. Because I heard prints a few times. I'm like, wait a second, print what?
So, what size prints did you have, and what do you think is kind of the average size for a print these days?
I had 11 by 17 and by 8, and that was about it. I was wondering myself like what I should bring, and so I messaged another person who has been in Artist Alley that I know, and she said that her smaller ones would sell more because, like, as you know, Todd, like you as a print buyer at cons, it's hard to carry around the big ones, and
So true.
unless so a lot of people will just go for the small ones, and I think definitely the smaller ones sold more, and I was selling them for $5 each.
Oh, so you really did sell more of those smaller ones.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, and that's also another good point to interject like a Comic-Con tip, which is if you're going to collect art, try to figure out the best day to do it, and figure out something to carry it around in, so that you're not delicately holding on to personal artwork. Eric did something really smart, which was you had backs, like a sort of a stiff cardboard back that you could put on.
Yeah.
And you had plastic bags for people. In fact, I didn't tell you, but a young person came by your booth when I was sitting there, and had a print in their hand and a cup of coffee, and their dad had like an ice cream sandwich or something, and I overheard this conversation where she was like, "Dad, I just wish I had a bag for this," and I was like, "Oh, gotcha." And
Nice.
so it was not a print of yours, but she had just bought a print and had no place to put it, and that was a thing that not all artists carry, but you had bags for the prints. I'm just saying this, like, if you go to a Comic-Con, think ahead. The artist might not have you covered in that way. You might want to bring a portfolio or something to, keep these things stiff and straight and make them easy to carry. So
everybody was doing it, but all right.
yeah, maybe it's like a more normal thing these days. I do think the 11 by 17 has caught on, where in years past I've come home with like all different shapes and sizes of prints, and this year it was all about 11 by 17.
Would you, Eric? Would you do this again? Like, since this is your first time, did you obviously learned a lot? Are you raring to go again, or is this more of an every couple years sort of thing?
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, it took a lot of work to get ready for it, but now that I've gotten that out of the way, yeah, I think it'd be a lot easier the next time. And I'm definitely reapplying for next year's San Diego Comic-Con.
Nice.
Cool.
Would you, hey, on that same note too? I mean, you may have mentioned it before. I didn't catch it. When did you start preparing for it? Like, because I have another artist friend who submitted to the local Denver Con, and he was at it for 2 or 3 months trying to get all his stuff ready to go. And I was just like, geez, when did you actually begin to kind of get all your stuff ready?
I should have been 3 months beforehand, but I just kind of procrastinated. Well, I mean, I was pretty busy up until like definitely the last month. I was like gearing up for it, but then the last few weeks I was still finishing some of the stuff that I was going to have made into print up until the week before.
Nice.
and yeah, so I know a guy that does prints for me, and I was like, hey, if I give the files to you by a certain date, can you have them for me by the Monday before con? And he's like, yep. And so so it was that plus getting the banner stuff ready,
and by banner you mean like you had a big banner that was behind you that had your name on it, and yeah. So now that you've kind of got that out of the way, you go your next con, you've got a banner and a way to display it, and you probably have a surplus of prints to bring with you.
Right.
You're kind of set up for the next one, right?
Yeah, essentially.
So in the day to day, like just in the grimy, like being on the floor kind of experience, how did you prep for each day, or what would you tell other artists about to do this? What about like food, coffee, bathroom visits, phone, electricity?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
I mean, I guess it depends on which con you're at, but at this con there were no electrical outlets, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's so interesting. You think SDCC would have that as big as they are? You think they'd roll out the red carpet and have all those amenities?
No, but I did see. I don't know if you saw, Todd. They had some sort of like portable cell phone charger, like vending machine thingies.
Yeah.
In the front, which I had no idea. They had never had before. I don't think. I mean, I'm not saying I got one, but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
But no, it would be good to definitely have one of those like backup charger things, which I did, but it didn't work. So, but in regards to everything else, like as far as it'd be good to definitely bring snacks and water and caffeine and. But for bathroom breaks and things like that, they were really awesome about it. They have their own dedicated staff to the Artist Alley where they're checking up on you. They're like taking your trash if you need to have trash taken out. They're asking you if you need to take a break. If you need to take a break, then they'll watch your table for you. And so.
Well, so on another like preparation question, how did you take payments from people?
Cash or through, if they had a card, then I had a Square reader.
Okay.
Which plugs into your phone or iPad or whatever.
Now, do you need like a strong signal for that? I mean, did you have one there in Artist Alley?
Yeah, I had a strong signal.
Okay.
I wasn't using Wi-Fi or anything. I was just using T-Mobile mobile network.
Yeah, let's plug that. Get them as a sponsor here.
Yeah.
When you're sitting there at the table, what are your interactions with the people that are walking by? Are they I know as on both sides of the table now that I sat at yours for a minute that that there's people don't always like to say hello to the artists. They're afraid they'll get sort of stuck in some sales conversation. But what did you find? I mean, were you?
Yeah, it was kind of like. I mean, I I was trying to read all the little tips that people put out there online about Artist Alley, and one of the tips was like, like make eye contact with people and try to start up a conversation, kind of like any kind of retail experience.
Sure.
That kind of customer service type of deal, and luckily I have that a little bit. I worked at Starbucks, so I was forced to do that. Not be like an aloof, grumpy a-hole.
Right, which is funny because I think the sort of default state for a lot of artists is like kind of, it crouched over their sketchbook, like ignoring everything around them, which you definitely see in Artist Alley.
And another tip was like not to be just drawing the whole time, because then it seems like nobody will want to bother you.
Right.
Which you can't really avoid if you're doing a sketch for somebody. So yeah, there was that, and yeah, people didn't want to. Some people were like trying to avoid eye contact for that reason, like you said, like so they didn't get roped into getting suckered into having to buy something.
Suckered in? What a deal!
And I think we were joking about that too. Like, I was considering like just half-hearted, half-jokingly, like I should get one of those booths that some people hire to rope people in and to stand out in the aisle and try to like try to bring people in to my table. And there's really if you're unfamiliar with Comic-Con, then there's a phenomenon they're called booth babes, and there are these models that some companies will hire, and they'll bring like oftentimes they'll be wearing very tight clothing with their whatever they're promoting on that clothing, and they'll be like handing out free stuff or whatever, and they're trying to promote something. And one of the guys down in the Artist Alley, these two brothers were trying to promote their comic, and I can understand this. Like they're like self-published, and they don't they're not nobody's gonna know who they are. So, and plus they were like literally right against the wall, and at the very end of that aisle, and nobody's going to see them. So they had hired this very attractive woman to bring people in from the crowd, and to come over and check out their what they're selling.
She was hustling.
She was really good at it, and I think they sold out their comic.
Wow.
So, and it was funny because she approached, I don't know if you guys know Wyatt Snack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he was just walking by, and I was like, oh, that's Wyatt Snack. And like she went up to him, and like she didn't know who he was. Well, trying to get him to come over, and he was like, yeah, I'm just doing a little, I'll be back. I'm just doing a little walk around here. And she's like, oh, okay, I'll come back if blah, blah, blah. I was like, do you know who you just talked to? And she's like, no, who was it?
Oh, poor
yeah.
Do you, when you were sitting there, I mean, you didn't miss out on Wyatt Cenac, but do you feel like you missed out on a con experience that you used to have?
No.
Good, man. That's great. You had fun doing sketches, and you don't feel like you missed out on stuff. That's awesome.
A little bit, just for nostalgia's sake, but I had been getting a little burnt on that whole.
Sure.
Because it's very tiring and it's kind of repetitive and.
Well, I think it's also worth mentioning that your con experience, at least for the past 5 or 6 years or so has really differed from anyone else's, because you go down there with a giant portfolio, and at least for the publishers that are seeing artists, you drop off portfolios at Marvel, and then there's a whole callback thing. I mean, it's almost like going on auditions or something for an actor, except that you're
nice.
doing it in a sea of 150,000 people.
Yeah, I've been doing that pretty much ever since I started going back to Comic-Con, which was like in 2000 and, even before that, actually. I've been doing it a long time, and the first time it actually worked when I finally got like one of the big two to I got a call back from them. Was I believe that was in 2000 and I think it was 2009. And so like he at the time was like doing what they called a talent search, and so you would have to do this mandatory panel where Doug Chiarello, the art director at DC, he would go there and do the same spiel over every year. He would give the same spiel to this group of artists that wanted to submit their work, artists and writers and colors, and he would talk about like he was giving everybody the real deal. He was telling them like all straight up, blowing smoke, up anybody's ass. And most people are not, pretty much saying like most of you are not good at it. I mean, he wouldn't say it that harshly, but it's
But you were, I mean, and I think all that combines. Like con is stressful for everyone, but it's uniquely stressful for those who are, involved in a kind of job application process, especially when it's like a cattle call like that. Like, I mean, just anyone, could go drop off a portfolio during that time. They've got to deliver some straight talk of like, we're not going to call, 99% of you back. So, it's cool to hear that you had a positive experience this year. I hope. Would you categorize it? Would you characterize it all as positive?
Yeah, it was very. I mean, this year it was like not a lot of hustle going on with that. Like,
good.
I gave you guys the copies, the sample booth, and then like you guys went and checked to see if I was on the list the next day. So I didn't. It was very minimal, and plus I didn't work on any new stuff new samples to
we also talked last week with our friend Emily, who was at her first San Diego Comic-Con, and she'd been prepared a little bit, but she even mentioned that it was like the madness of San Diego, and I think it's just kind of like it's not like severely hot. It's not like a Phoenix Comic-Con or something, I imagine, but it's pretty darn hot. And the other thing that weighs you down, like there's so many crowds and you're carrying all this stuff around. So just the idea that like you got to sit in Artist Alley and do something that engages you, it like almost, I mean, that's guaranteed to give you a different experience. And
it's almost like you were the super fan, like it was like the super fan experience. So you got to kind of have this enhanced access, but then also you're creating stuff, you're submitting stuff. It's like, it is like kind of that next, like college for Comic-Con attendance. It's like if you really want to, if you really dig this and want to take it to the next level, here you go.
That's a good way to think of it. I like to think Eric has graduated to Artist Alley. So did you stay till the bitter end, like Sunday night closing time?
I did, yeah, just because I was trying to get this one sketch done for somebody.
What was it like at that hour? Were there still crowds in Artist Alley, or are they kind of down on the retail end?
No, yeah, at that point there weren't really that. It was actually Sunday was still very crowded.
Okay.
There's actually more people like just I don't know why it was or what, but
well, there's always a perception that like there's special like half price deals and stuff on Sunday that the retailers don't want to go home with all the comics they brought, so people always kind of hang around on Sunday, at least I've heard, to do the heavy shopping, and I wondered if that drew away from Artist Alley or if it helped you guys out?
There was a healthy amount of people walking by Artist Alley and through it. It's just the biggest sales and interest was on Saturday, for me anyway, and that,
Okay.
with everything at Comic-Con is, I think, it's the most attended Saturday is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Saturday is,
Yeah.
but at the end, it was, that was very interesting to see, like, after everything like shut down and the crowd was gone and stragglers were hanging around, and although that exhibit, like I said, the exhibitor pass, I was given free reign.
Open some doors for you, literally.
Yeah, I was just kind of seeing the aftermath of the whole thing. It was that's not something we all get to see.
Well, what would you do differently at your next con?
Get stuff done earlier, get all my prints ready earlier, be more ready, like, have help, I think.
Okay. That's a good one.
Yeah, just because it would definitely have helped if I had someone like to help me, with the and to sell like the prints and stuff, and
Yeah.
so
Well, with that in mind, do you have a next con on the calendar where you're going to be in Artist Alley?
no, I don't. I should look into that. I know that, like, I was considering New York Comic Con, but that's really expensive.
Now, you did go to New York Comic Con as a creator once, right?
Yeah, I did. When I was working on the agency, and I was sitting at the table as well, but that was mostly for them. I was just like kind of tucked away behind a plant, basically.
Not to fall too deeply down the comparing Comic Con hole, but what was the experience? How did the experience differ between San Diego and New York?
For me, like, as a person,
Yeah.
creator kind of person, it was way different, just because that was more focused on the team that was the writers and the creators of that comic, and it was all about them. It was kind of like they were doing exactly what the brother team that was sitting a couple of guys down for me at Artist Alley at San Diego were doing, where they were really hustling and trying to bring people into their booth and trying to, like, do a pitch to people never heard of that. It was an independent publisher, so it was interesting to see that. And then it was just unfortunately I didn't get to really see a lot of New York Comic Con, just because I was sitting down the whole time at that one spot.
Yeah.
But it was just as, if more than, attended than San Diego, because the numbers, they released the numbers, and, like, they said that there were more people that went to New York. I don't know. I mean, I saw a lot of people. I just didn't realize how many people were there.
Yeah.
But sorry to cut you off. They have a whole floor dedicated to Artist Alley. That's why it costs so much to get a table there. It's like $700. Wow. Yeah, it's really dedicated space for artists there, and so that's the difference between there and there. But I obviously wasn't in that Artist Alley.
So it costs $700 just to be in Artist Alley in New York.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
So,
man.
You got to be. You got to sell a lot of print.
Right. You really got to justify going financially.
Yeah.
Man. Well, so where can people find your work online?
I have a website that's very rudimentary, which is erickoda.com. ERIKODA.com.
Yeah.
And then most of my stuff is on my DeviantArt page, and that's on my username is executive order 066.
And we'll link all this in the show notes too. So if you're having trouble hearing, or if you don't remember what he's saying, we'll just check the show notes and we'll have it there too.
Yeah.
And Instagram is Koda Moment, at Koda Moment. And that's pretty much it.
You're on Twitter, but maybe you don't. Maybe that's not like the active place to find you. Cool. Taylor, I'm out of questions, but I have been to San Diego Comic-Con. Is there anything else you would like to know?
That's pretty thorough. I think we answered everything. And as somebody who hasn't been, I feel like I can go now and actually appreciate what the Artist Alley folks have to go through. And I'm going to bring my sketchbook and have everybody draw a different version of He-Man or something.
Man, that is just such a good idea, and I've got a literal like box full of different prints. Catwoman prints. Come on, and I just wish I'd been taking a sketchbook all these years because I can't hang all these up.
Yeah.
Protector behind each page though, because
good call. Page protectors. Cool, Eric. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll do the ending plugs here. I am Todd A, and I am on Twitter at HeyToddA, and you are.
I am Taylor Trask, TaylorTrask. Just Google me, you'll find all my stuff. Website, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever suits you.
And we are toddandtaylor.com. This is at least the third podcast that's come out of San Diego Comic-Con 2016.
Yes.
So go back and find the other two. We talk about the whole Hall H experience, and we talk about all the previews and trailers and stuff that came out of this year. And then we had a big long discussion about the Killing Joke, which I saw with Eric and our friend Chris.
Eric, what did you think about it?
We're going to go down that. Let's fall down that hole.
Real quick, 30-second lightning round. What did you think of Killing Joke?
I liked it. It was dark and surprising. I don't know. I was half asleep, basically.
Oh. Well, there you go. You can listen to that. You should go back. I'm curious. Go back and listen to our episode if you are so inclined. I'm curious just to hear what you think about our thoughts. I'm sure you and Todd talked about it already.
Actually, probably not. But anyone else, you should go back and listen to that. It's we planned to. We were like, well, I think we can cover this in 15 minutes, and apparently I just went off the rails. So it became like a whole 45-minute podcast. But yes, check all that out, and we will be back next week with something new.